What's going on? I got my buddy Andrew on the show today. What's up, dude? How's it going?
Rob, how we doing? Doing pretty well. Yeah, just a little busy day, little break here in between some lessons, and happy to be on the podcast today.
Yeah, man, I'm glad. What's the weather at around you? Where are you located, by the way?
So I'm in the Boston area, and so we got a nice sunny day. It it's kind of a return back to summer, which is nice. We've had like a couple of like real cold stretches and like a lot of rain, but now it's like perfect golfing weather. The book is full. It's good. Yeah.
I was up in Cape Cod actually last week, and we got caught a lot of the rain that was going on
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually got to go out and play on a course called Captain's Course, but it was
Okay.
raining, and I'm terrible, so I had the most
Should
fun
have
that I
stopped
could.
by. Yeah, yeah. Should have stopped by for a quick lesson. Would have loved it.
Yeah, that next time, next time.
Yeah.
So yeah, perfect. Let's get into a little bit of the lessons. Want to share a little bit about who you are and who you help and what it is you do?
Yeah. So my name's Andrew Losey. I'm a golf coach. I've been coaching since I was 14, actually. That's when I gave my first golf lesson. Been playing since I was 7. So golf's kind of been my life. And as a young teenager, I kind of fell in love with teaching and then just kind of went to college and made that my career. And so now I'm up in the Boston area. I work at a place called Core Golf, where I'm one of, I think, maybe 7 instructors. And so there's some competition there for some lessons a little bit, but yeah. So coach, I do a lot of individual lessons, some group stuff, some corporate clinics, and then the other part of my responsibility is our elite junior academy, where I have a group of about 20 kids that come. It's a year-round program, and they come anywhere between like 2 to 5 times a week, depending on the time of year and what they got going on. But yeah, so coaching a ton. Have moved around a lot for coaching. Been in Florida, been in Savannah, Georgia, been in New York, been in Massachusetts, college in North Carolina, and did some coaching there a little bit. So been all around for it.
So let me ask you, because I remember you kind of being down in Georgia when we were talking a little bit,
Yeah.
and what brought you up to the Boston area?
So actually, in between Georgia, it was interesting. There was Georgia and then COVID in New York, which was kind of back at an academy that I had been at before, called the Michael Breed Golf Academy. And then and then after New York was Florida for about a year and a half. And down there, I was coaching the son of a PGA Tour player, and getting him ready for college golf. And now he plays at the University of Florida. And then once that was kind of coming to a close, I was looking for the next kind of thing and knew that I wanted to go to somewhere where I could coach a ton more high volume, and just earn more money. And so the best place for me to do that was up here in Boston, where I'm year round up here. So we've got an indoor center, and actually kind of came up here because a mentor of mine that I met in college, he came up here about a year and a half before I did. And he was kind of looking for some extra coaches, and it kind of just timed up perfectly. And it was a great opportunity. So if there's in the golf industry, if you don't know the golf industry, there's like private clubs, there's public courses, there's driving ranges, there's all sorts of stuff. And, I feel like I can do more of what I want at more of a public place, and kind of be more personable with clients when it's in a public space as opposed to in a like a country club atmosphere. And so it was just, the perfect kind of blend of everything, where I still can work with a lot of elite players, elite junior players, but then kind of enjoy it while I do it, as opposed to being like in a country club mindset where it's like, yes, sir, no, sir type of deal. So it's pretty cool, and I can be pretty individual in what I do.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask you about how do you play year round if you're up here in like the Northeast, but you answered that with the indoor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so you mentioned that one of your mentors from college that you met in college has also moved up here. Mind sharing a little bit on mentorship? Because I know for myself, I have a lot of coaches that I
Absolutely.
have, and I just know that it's coaching is one thing that you can just kind of fast track your results with. So, want to share a little bit about your experience
Yeah.
with the mentor and what you kind of go with?
Yeah. So, it's interesting. Most of like the mentors that I, you know, speak with, I really kind of got during, it's interesting. My career started sort of when I was like 14. So I feel like I kind of like, I got most of my mentors when I was in college, but that was like 5 years into my career, like, cause I knew what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, when I was in college, I knew that I wasn't where, like, I wasn't at the level that I wanted to be at. And so um, I just kind of made a little list of like people that I knew were smart that I wanted to learn from. And that was just like primarily on like golf swing things, like, because I don't know anything. So how can I learn? And then as I kind of went, going and observing people, we'd sit down for lunch um, and just get to chat, and you start to kind of find that, okay, this person's been through a lot of things, they have a ton of experience, not just like the lesson tee but business acumen, um, and different leadership styles, things like that, and you start to kind of figure out uh, that, okay, that's somebody that I should kind of continue to be around a little bit. And so I kind of made a list of people that I wanted to learn from, and ended up going to work for one of them, and the guy in New York, Michael Breed. He was a guy who was on TV. He was an idol of mine. And it's interesting. We're in different different industries, but and I'm sure that you have people that are at the top of your industry where you're like, oh, that guy must be like that's an idol of mine. He's a role model. Um, he wouldn't help me out, and I'm sure a lot of people kind of think like that, because I have friends that thought like that. And man, I'll tell you what, like, if you know somebody that, or like if you have somebody that you want to learn from, dude, all you got to do is ask. Like, so many people are willing to help if you just ask. And so, I had my people that I wanted to learn from. I wanted to learn from the best of the best, and just kind of asked. And I certainly got lucky, with some timing aspect and actually getting to go and work for some of these people. But yeah, with the guy that I'm with now, who's been a mentor of mine for probably 6 years or so, I just tossed up a video on a Facebook group, and he replied and was like, "Hey, here's my phone number. Like, would love to help." And then we just kind of kept the relationship going.
Wow.
The difficult thing that I've seen now, as I've grown and I'm at a place where I really enjoy my work, and it's gotten really busy, is like I've seen that those mentorship relationships have kind of like taken a back seat almost, because I'm busier, and I'm doing a lot more. And so it's been an interesting kind of thing to kind of maneuver about, because now I'm at a place where it's like, okay, well, what's the next step? And I kind of need some help in figuring that out. But oh my gosh, I haven't talked to you in 6 months or 8 months. Like, you know, can we touch base, like that kind of thing? So it's been interesting.
Yeah, and I totally hear you with that. Where different seasons of your life, different seasons
Yeah,
of the year, even there's busy levels, and like for example, with my in-person coaching, it's pretty slow right now. Towards the end of August, a lot of
sure.
families and clients are all traveling. They're trying to get their
Hmm.
vacation in before the fall schedule kind of settles in.
Yep.
So it's I think having that general awareness of the bigger picture of, okay, yeah, I'm in a little bit of more of a grind mode now, but then also still consciously thinking ahead, like, okay, what do I do when things calm down, or how do I handle things so that I can continue to progress and move on from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, so like let's talk now that you kind of got some, now that work is busier and stuff like that. What are you doing to kind of prepare yourself for the next steps?
So, it's interesting. I'm like, I think like this year really I've kind of realized I'm in a rat race.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just kind of chasing the cheese, chasing the cheddar a little bit. And I'm winning. Like I feel like I'm winning the race, but I'm not chasing anything. So it's been interesting to try and figure out like what that next step is. I have my book that I wrote, which I didn't like. It's more so like a business card almost. Like it's just a business card that has more credibility
Mm-hmm.
because people know that there's effort behind that, and they see the testimonials in that from the people on it. And um do I do something with that? Do I dive more into social media? Because that's something that I enjoy, but it's figuring out how I can, you know, uh, make that be beneficial for me with the current company that I'm working with as well. Um, and so that's kind of something that I've been struggling with. And it's interesting. Like, I feel like people who are entrepreneurs are more entrepreneurial. Right. I have my coaching business, but it's underneath a company.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's not like I wake up every single day and, it's like, okay, I have these to dos. And if these to dos don't happen, then my business fails. It's just, okay, like, okay, I didn't go give 5 golf lessons today. So, um, but I still kind of see that I dive in like, some entrepreneurs like yourself. Um, and with me and like you were just talking about with the seasonality of kind of the coaching business, I find that with the three kind of different things in life, like relationships, your health, and then kind of, your job or your wealth or things like that. Like I'm really good at always doing two. I can focus on two really well. And so, I have a girlfriend, who I've been with for a while now. And so that one is always doing well. That's important to me. And then in season, it's just running in the rat race, trying to win, and do as well as I can. And then once that slows down, then it's like, okay, well, I'm a type 1 diabetic. So now it's like, okay, health needs to take a priority for 5 months in the off season. Um, and so it's kind of swing back and forth. Whereas, in college it was like, or early on in my career, it was like always wealth and always health. And so I could put more effort into like, what's the next step? Where am I chasing towards? And so, it's something that I've been asking myself a lot. Where do I go? And, I think I'll kind of stay where I'm at for a little while and try to make incremental gains with, different things like more group coaching, some potential for more corporate clinics. Cause I really enjoy doing bigger group things where I can kind of present, a new concept. And then there's other opportunities kind of on the horizon with some country clubs, and moving into some sort of role like that. But I'm not necessarily sure if that's for me right now. There's definitely a financial boost that could occur with that, but I kind of enjoy where I'm at right now.
Yeah, it sounds like you're pretty content with everything. And I'm just curious to ask you because it sounds like your business and your health are the two ones that you kind of give push and pull a little bit with your
Absolutely.
life. How do you balance and maintain your relationship with your girlfriend at the same time? Because I'm in a similar situation where I'm doing a lot of training
Yeah.
sessions, virtual, in person, and now I'm also working on developing my speaking career and
Yep.
traveling a little bit more and these other things too. But at the same time, I really want to continue and progress
Yeah.
my relationship with my girlfriend. So how are you balancing making sure that
Yeah.
you prioritize her?
it's what does your girlfriend do? What does she do for a living?
She works in like technology. She's information security.
Is she like a 9 to 5? Like,
Sort of. I guess there's a little bit of leeway. She works from
sure.
home too,
Okay, yeah.
so
So my girlfriend Kate, she is a an ER nurse,
oh
and so her schedule is like crazy as well.
yeah.
Um, it's hers isn't seasonal, but it's always like, okay, like 3 days in a row, just night shift and no talking during the day because she's asleep, and then it's okay, I'm off for 2 days, can we hang out those days? And so we've gotten into like a little bit of a groove where like there is some consistency of my schedule
Hmm.
where I know I have Mondays off right now, and then in September and October I have Thursdays off, and I've kind of made it so that way I also have Friday mornings off. So I think communication with us is really big, and luckily we communicate really well, to make sure that we both have some quality time together, because that's her love language, is quality time.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think that's just kind of that's something I always kind of have to keep in the back of my mind. But yeah, no, it's exactly right. Where like the for me the health and the health kind of takes a backseat a little bit. Like I feel like I can give 45% to my to the wealth, and 45% to the relationships, and then 10% to health in season. And then probably in the off season that switches to like 45 or 50% relationship, and 40% or maybe 30% health, where I go to I make time for the gym each day.
Hmm.
Um, and then just another little percent for the wealth bit. But yeah, it's I would say it's not the the healthiest thing for like life balance, where it's
Hmm.
so seasonal and constantly shifting and pulling things back, or pushing it forward, because like for type 1 diabetics, like you have to be on top of your health. um and so it's like, okay, I've noticed for the last month that something has felt a little bit different in the bottom of my feet, and it's like, okay, so I probably am not having the best circulation because I stand all day long and I don't really walk around all that much. So when I get like, I'm like, okay, when am I going to really have time to get on my stationary bike? I got to make time for that. Um yeah, so it's difficult. But it's I think once you have your priorities straight, decision making gets really easy. And so kind of for me in the early spring and late summer is when I kind of start to struggle a little bit with what exactly is my priority.
Hmm.
um, because my schedule starts to either build up or die down, and it's like, okay, when do I really stomp on the gas, or when do I pump the brakes on the wealth bit, to take or to let health kind of take the lead role in my priorities.
Yeah, I totally hear you with that, and I love that your awareness is so great because you can communicate great with your girlfriend, so you that communication and awareness of scheduling works out well,
Mm-hmm.
and you looking bigger picture too, which is another thing
Yeah,
too. So you can sacrifice your health a little bit to kind of continue to push to kind of build up the wealth a little
yeah,
more, and
yeah,
then it sounds like you're doing these kind of frequent check-ins like, okay, yeah, now I'm noticing some certain feelings
yeah.
indicating that I might need to start to address to shift that priority spectrum a little bit
I
to the
feel
side.
like that's the biggest thing, like is taking personal inventory, like once a week, of like, do, there was a time the other week where I realized every single day that I had scheduled off, I was spending with my girlfriend, and I was like which was fun and it was great, but it was like, okay, my at home life when I'm by myself is like deteriorating because I haven't had time to, like, I don't have an off day to do laundry because now I'm doing laundry at 8 p.m. when I get home from work after a long day of coaching and doing all this stuff. And now I got emails. And so it's like, okay, I told Kate, I was like, hey, look, I need a day where I can just get all my shit done. And so that was like just a personal inventory. Like, what do I really need right now? Let me just kind of, press reset for a moment and see where I'm at. Um, and I think that's huge. Like, you can kind of do a personal inventory check or an inventory check um, on your business too. Like for me, I'd probably do that like once a month or every 2 to 3 weeks where I'm like, okay, who do I need to reach out to see if I can get them on another lesson package or another program? Um, you know, what am I planning for the winter months for programming? Then that's something that I'm starting to focus on now. So there's always like those little checklists that you kind of go through. Um, but I do those, I think you got to do those in all aspects of life.
Yeah, yeah, I love that because I know I frequently do a lot of gratitude journaling and then just
Mm,
I try to segue into just general journaling so I can gather all my thoughts
mm-hmm,
and get everything that's going on down
mm-hmm.
into paper. And past couple of weeks, I've been traveling a lot. I was in
Yeah.
Nashville for a couple of days. I was in Toronto speaking with Brandon, and then all last week I was away on vacation. So I had that long vacation, but the two trips before that was like go 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 go. When
Yeah.
I was only home for like a day or two, trying to cram in as many sessions as I can, and then I was away for a week. But it's one of those I was away for a week, but with my girlfriend and her family. So you kind of
Mm.
got to be on all the time. So you can't
Yeah. Yeah.
totally just totally relax. It's like, and then I have all this like laundry and things I got to get going with, and
Yeah.
then because of my vacation, as soon as I got back Tuesday and Wednesday were just essentially back to back from 5 a.m. to 9:30 p.m.
Ugh.
just scramming through. So today
Ugh.
was a little bit of my personal kind of check in. Got a little bit of laundry done. I got
There
to
you
go
go.
grocery shopping later, but
Yep.
it comes down to those things. They really are so powerful. And
Hmm.
you just saying that you do it like every couple of weeks or so is it's got to be great for your overall mental health too, I guess.
Yeah, and when things start to like, I find when things start to go a little bit south, like at home, then you kind of get in like a little rut where it's like, okay, something's off, and it's hard to have the discipline to get yourself back, but um, or the motivation to get yourself back to being like disciplined for something,
Mhm.
but no, yeah, it's so important to do those inventory checks.
So I'm going to shift it a little bit here. I would like to get your bit on a little bit on your nutrition because you said type 1 diabetes, right?
Type one,
So,
yeah.
so when it is come time for health, what does it look like? Because you're just
Yeah.
paint the picture. You're just coming off of a serious wealth stint,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
not feeling the greatest, but now you know you have a little more time to allocate towards your health. What do you do
Yeah.
first? What does that look like? And
Yeah.
go into that a little bit.
So number one, like what I said about like you kind of go 40, like I can do 45%, 45%, 10%. That 10% is like kind of like maintenance
Yeah.
on like, okay, am I eating like crap? Is my blood sugar okay? If my blood, and so like I've got my little pouch right here, my diabetic pouch, and so like I do the finger sticks. I don't
Mm-hmm.
wear a monitor or anything, and I don't have a pump, so I actually do injections whenever I need. Um, and so like day to day, that's every single day. Like that's always wake up. What's my blood sugar at? Do I need to give some insulin to correct my blood sugar? What am I giving for my breakfast? And then before lunch, before dinner, checks before bed, checks, corrections, all sorts of stuff like that. So that's always.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then for me, like this year, like this probably, I think like September is when I'm pumping the brakes. So I'm actually really excited because I really haven't gone to the gym in like a while. I really enjoyed it last winter. For me, I kind of this whole season I've been like, okay, what are the things that I want to focus on, and I'm kind of making a plan now where the first, I don't know, probably 2 weeks, really all I want to do is stretch because I've been so tight this entire season, like a lot more aches and pains in my low back, like it's been kind of rough. And stretching always makes me feel good. Also, cardio, I've noticed for the type 1 diabetes is huge just to have really good circulation and even kind of up the sensitivity that your body has to insulin.
Hmm.
So like last year I did a lot of just kind of like lifting and it was great and I still got some sensitivity, um but I think this year I'll focus a lot more on like the things that kind of make me feel better, even if I don't necessarily like have the physique or look that I want. Um, because man, I'll tell you what, like during the season when I'm like standing on a tee for 8 hours, and by hour 4, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm cracking my neck, my hip hurts, like it's like sucks. And then you're like, okay, I've got 6 more hours of lessons, and that guy sucks. That's gonna be terrible. Yeah, it's no fun. Yeah, I think I think with like nutrition, it's a lot more like inquisitive or no, intuitive, like kind of listening to my body, like what do
Hmm.
I need? And obviously when I'm going to work out, there's a lot more need for carbs and protein as well if I want to put on the weight that I want to do, every off season. Um, and so there's a little bit of a shift there, but yeah, it's interesting. I kind of give each season, much like I have kind of a focus each, wealth season during my busy season. I think I kind of am starting to do that with the off season for the when the health becomes the in season thing.
Hmm.
And so this year I think it'll be more stretching, flexibility, cardio, and then still doing some weightlifting, but a little bit more balanced, I think.
Cool. Yeah, no, that sounds pretty solid. And so you go through and you try to gain some weight back in the off season, and then obviously working, you're out there all day long and kind of
Yeah, it's
limited on a
nuts.
lot of stuff. So that's got to
Yeah,
make things challenging.
yeah,
Very cool. So you were mentioning a little bit about like the insulin sensitivity and stuff like that. Do you
yeah.
do any type of intermittent fasting or intentional fasting?
Um, so no. Um, do I? Not like on purpose.
Hmm.
I think like if I have a couple of days where like, and I'll probably have a couple of these days in November and December. I'm really looking forward to it, where I have nothing to do, and I will go to the gym, and I'll probably have like a big lunch or something, and then I might have like a little snack or something for dinner, and then I won't eat again until like 16 hours later. And like so there's a little bit of like, but not really like,
Hmm.
um but no, like the things that are huge for insulin sensitivity that I found for me are uh or I guess more like on a very day to day basis is like how much fats am I having? Because when I have a lot of when like if I go have Chinese food, a lot of carbs, a lot of fats, my blood sugar is through the roof because basically, again, like because I have to inject insulin and my body isn't always regulating my blood sugar, the sugar and carbs just stick to the fat, and then your body has to deal with the fat before it can deal with the sugar. But I already injected insulin, so like 4 hours down the road, that insulin has already denatured and hasn't done anything for me. So my blood sugar just goes freaking crazy. Um, so so yeah, watching more of kind of the macro nutrient a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, you know, when I was first diagnosed, a little over a year and a half ago now, I went like crazy on watching what I was eating for
Yeah.
probably 3 months. but it for me it wasn't healthy. Like it was anxious. Um, and I don't know what eating disorders really are, but it was very anxious and like a lot of you know, very um
Almost obsessive.
it was very obsessive. That's exactly what it was. It was very obsessive.
So
But
were
I
you
think
like weighing? Were you like tracking and weighing everything?
so I wasn't weighing, but I would measure like using a cup or whatever. Um, and then kind of just doing the math on how many carbs is in it. And I cut out when I was initially diagnosed. I had no I like was scared to give insulin because I didn't want to go low and like pass out and die.
Yeah.
And so I like cut out a lot of carbs. Um, and to the point where I was probably like on a really like the first probably month and a half, like the probably the most carbs I had in a day was like 95 to like 115.
Wow.
But the crazy thing with all that, like I'll tell you this quick story. So when I was initially diagnosed, again, or before I was even diagnosed, I was in my job, and my job was freaking insane. I loved it, and I was focusing on that, and I was focusing on health, but my health was deteriorating, and my thing was whenever my health deteriorates, it's just okay, go to the gym and like lift and work out and gain muscle. But I was doing that, and I was expending what energy I had left, because insulin, you know, gets the sugar, gets the carbs, gets all the energy into the muscle cells, and I didn't have that. And so I would be lifting, you know, I'd start out, you know, now I could probably do a curl with like, you know, I could do a little bit with like 30-pound weights, and now I can do, you know, probably 10, 15 pull-ups. But I would try to do one pull-up and couldn't do it. And I would lift, and I couldn't lift a 7.5-pound weight. And I'm like just going even harder and even more into the gym, trying to think that it would help. And back then I was eating a lot, and I was like, I would go home, or sorry, I would wake up. I'd go to the gym at 5 in the morning when it opened up. So I'd wake up around 4:30. I'd have a little bit of a snack. I'd get to the gym. I'd work out for an hour or so. I'd go home. I would have one of those like those mass gainer
Uh-huh.
protein things, which is just all carbs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, you know, 200 grams of carbs, which isn't getting into my muscle cells or any cells in my body. And so my blood sugar would just, go like this, and my energy would just crash. So I'd literally like pass out. I'd nap for like an hour, force myself to get up, go to work, and then I'd get home at six at night, have dinner, and basically just like I would need to crash. Like I would just sit in bed and like watch Netflix.
Wow.
And so then fast forward to when I'm actually diagnosed, I start to get on it. I start to have insulin, and I cut out a lot of carbs, like everything. I'm eating tons of vegetables,
Essentially
and
like a ketogenic diet, huh?
basically ketogenic. And so I'm having I'm having vegetables, and I'm having like chicken, and like even my breakfast was like a breakfasty salad type of deal. And but because for so long my body didn't have insulin, now I'm having insulin, and so I actually put on weight eating way less. So like when I was undiagnosed, when I was telling you about like the gym and the protein shakes and all that, I had a doctor tell me like, hey, before we sound the alarm on anything, like let's just count your calories. And he goes, count everything that you're having for a week. And I did it for 2 days because I was getting super frustrated because I had over 6,000 calories
Wow.
and was losing weight and losing strength. And now I get diagnosed and I'm like, okay, well that makes a lot of sense now. And then I probably end up having like 2,000 calories and put on 10 pounds over the course of 3 weeks.
Yeah, your body's actually
Um,
utilizing those
yeah,
nutrients.
yeah. So it was pretty nuts, pretty
Yeah.
nuts.
So, have you ever gone so low that you kind of passed out and with your blood sugar dropping down?
So I haven't passed out, but so I have gone pretty low. I think the lowest that I've seen myself go is probably like uh was it 28 or 38? So basically
Wow.
like it's what is it? It's milligrams per deciliter,
Yeah.
and the normal is like 70 to 100.
Yep.
And for a diabetic, for a type 1 diabetic, if you can stay between like 100 and like 120, you're doing really well. I would say I'd probably average more like 140, 145 ish.
Hmm.
Um, but there's, and like I kind of have my range is like, okay, I want to wake up, 85 to 100. Before I eat a meal, I want to be at 145, or something like that. Like those are like my kind of number goals.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've gone low. I had a low earlier this week where I needed to correct in the morning, so I gave myself 1 unit of insulin, which will lower me 50 points.
Ooh.
And then I had breakfast, which will I had like I think like 45 grams of carbs in my breakfast, which 1 unit of insulin will make you go up 50 points, but 1 unit of insulin for me uh, covers 15 carbs. So um, I needed 3 units to cover what I was having for breakfast, and then I gave 1 unit of insulin to correct and bring me down to the level I wanted to be at.
Mm.
And my sensitivity was like crazy for whatever reason. So I have breakfast, I drive to work, and I step out of my car and I just feel my blood sugar starting to drop like crazy. And so I like was pretty much immobilized. Like I went up to where like it's our ball shed where all of our golf balls are, and they've got snacks and Powerades and stuff, and I guzzled a Powerade. I and really what you're supposed to do is like have 15 grams of sugar, like some sugar tabs,
Yeah.
and then like wait. But when you're going low, it's like, holy crap, I'm dying. This is
Yeah.
terrible. Like you lose everything. It's just make me feel better, give me sugar. So I guzzled a Powerade. I had some fruit snacks. I probably had like 115 carbs and sugar over the course of like 10 minutes
Hmm.
just to feel better and go to work. And then like 2 hours later, my blood sugar was like through the roof in the heavens and had to correct it back down. But
Yeah, that's
yeah,
crazy.
it's pretty nuts.
I have a good buddy of mine from high school, and he's diabetic, and he used to always carry the sugar tabs with him, and we used to
Yeah.
eat them in school and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
I was actually it was after freshman year of college, going into sophomore year. Over the summer, I was training for rugby, and my buddy Rob, who's the diabetic, was really interested in learning and getting into it because he wanted to play in
Mm-hmm.
college as well. So he picked me up and we went to the high school to run sprints.
Mm-hmm.
And we're running sprints, and that's burning through a lot of energy real quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly we're kind of wrapping up, and he's like, Rob, dude, you have any Gatorade or anything? And I'm like, no, I just got some water. He's like, oh, dude, I'm not doing so well. So then he like checks himself. I don't remember what his numbers were,
Yeah.
but his vision was going.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, I think I need you to drive me to the gas station to get something right now.
Like right
And
now. Yeah.
and he drove, and
Oh my God. Yeah.
and he drove stick, and I didn't know how to drive stick, so I was like, oh my
Oh
god,
no.
I
Oh
gotta
no.
figure this
Nightmare.
out. So
Nightmare.
we didn't have any money or glucose or anything, so I had to drive him back to my house, and I just gave him like a bunch of apple juice boxes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I tried to bring him back to life. But I was like,
God.
dude, you almost died there.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It is, dude. It is it's really interesting. Being type 1 has made me so much more in tune with my body though, and it's like such a blessing too, because I was like when I was undiagnosed for probably like 2 years, and so like I said, like I'd go in the gym and I couldn't lift 7.5 pounds. I I lost so much muscle to the point where like I couldn't like stand up from a toilet. Like I would have to like push or like lean up against, like it was nuts. And now like obviously it sucks. Like nobody asks for it, but man, like to be able to go and go to work on 5 hours of sleep and work all day long and then get up the next morning and do it again. Like it's a blessing to kind of have that back.
Yeah.
Cause it wasn't fun for a while and you're just running an uphill battle that is never ending, but,
Yeah.
it's better
Well,
now.
so,
Yeah.
well, I'm glad that you, again, with
Yeah.
awareness, bringing
Yeah.
that in. Now you're a little more in tune with your body. And
Absolutely. Yep.
I do want to be courteous with your time. So tell me quickly, you got anything going on? Anything you'd like to share with everybody?
Yeah, so if you're ever in the Boston area, stop by Core Golf. Stop by for a lesson. Happy to help you with your golf game if you're getting into it. Rob, next time you're on Cape, stop by. And then also, you can find me on Instagram, Andrew Losey Golf. That's Losey Golf. And then there you can also find a link, to my book that we mentioned very briefly. It's called The Bunker Bible, and that's kind of my thing, Rob. Right? Like I want to be, recognized at the end of my career as one of the best coaches ever. And there's so many like swing gurus and I'm sure like in your profession, right? There's so many gurus of whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of tried to find like a niche within it, like within all these different, aspects of golf and coaching and instruction. And kind of hopefully use that as my launching off point to get some more recognition and some better players that I really will enjoy coaching out on tour or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I got my copy of the book,
Yeah,
so
you got it. Yeah.
make sure you go check it out. Instagram to get the link to your book, right? Is that what you
Yep.
said?
Yeah, it's right on there.
Cool, awesome. And dude, before I let you go, I got to ask you, if you were to boil everything down, what would be your number one piece of advice for surviving the side hustle?
I would say you've got to get your priorities in check, because once you do that, then there's no questioning your decisions. It's like, okay, I am going to start this business in golf coaching. Okay, what are the steps to that? And one of the steps that won't show up is going out on a Thursday evening to meet up with your old college buddy who's in town for one night. Like you're not going to make your schedule fit somebody else's. It's going to be making making your schedule the top thing, and everything that you need to do the top thing. And I was lucky that I knew what I wanted to do from a very young age, and so I had probably 8 years or so probably around 8 years or so where I had no other responsibilities and I knew what my priority was, and so I was able to absolutely focus on it. And right, there's other like little things like I'm sure Brandon has mentioned it to you, like the top 10 list, like who's your top 10 people that you want to go learn from or that you want to be like, and then go learn from them. Like that's a really great piece of advice. But I think that happens once you know what your priorities are.
Oh yeah, dude, I love it. I want to thank you again for taking the time. I know you're in a busy season currently with everything, so finding a little bit of time to hop on with this, I really appreciate that. And we talked a lot about the priorities. We talked about relationship balancing and a lot of awareness about your body, about your business, what's going on in your schedule and things like that, dude. So thank you again for dropping all of these tips and everything, man. And I'd love to have you back on for maybe a part 2 down the road somewhere.
Absolutely.
And dude, thank you again so much, man. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate you having me on.
Peace, peace, peace.